All right, everybody, I am finally back with a brand new DC update. I spent some time building the 66 Batman Lego over the weekend, and I just took a break to kind of chill out. I had PT today, and I am exhausted. But I needed to get a video out because there's a lot of stuff to go over in regards to DC. There's some very concerning news coming out about the sale of Warner Brothers, the Batman 2, and a bunch of other things. And so we have a lot to look at today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so first up today, I did have this show up from McFarlane Toys on Friday of this last week. I was excited to get this and add it to my collection. I do have the original Batman the Animated Series Man-Bat. It is nowhere near this large. But I saw this and thought it was pretty freaking cool. And these are going to be hard to get. I got mine directly from McFarlane Toys, the website. It's going to be a Walmart exclusive product outside of that. So if you're interested in getting it, you might want to check that out sooner rather than later, because when these are gone, they are gone. Also, I picked this up on Friday as well. This was my weekend activity, and it was really funny because I ordered this ahead of time and went to Target to actually pick it up, and they gave me, no joke, when I went to go pick it up at the register, it was a completely crushed box. And I was like, no, I'm actually a collector. I still don't like, if you look on the sides, they do wrap it with this wire, which I don't like. It's one of the things. I didn't want to go all the way down to the Lego store for this. I actually got some money off of this because it was on sale. Plus, I have a Target account, so I got even more off. And so I will show you. I'm going to actually be doing a review video of this. I'm going to do a build video and a review video, so there'll be two videos in regards to this Batmobile. And yeah, I definitely have some things I want to talk about in regards to this car. So this is pretty cool. For people who didn't know, there is a book that was called Batman. I believe it was Resurrection, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a true sequel to the 1989 Batman. And it took place between Batman and Batman Returns. This book just got released as well. And it's called Batman Revolution. And this is actually the second book, and it does take place as what would be the third movie, and then Batman Returns would be the fourth film. I haven't read the first book, and I obviously haven't read this because it just came out. I have both of these books showing up today, and I will do a review on both of those books as I finish them. So look for that coming up as well. Now, this is another missed opportunity by Warner Brothers. Like, they really, at the beginning of the DCEU, they had things cooking. Like, they really had a great plan, and they didn't follow through with it because they had morons running the company. And Joe Manganiello has revealed that there was supposed to be a Deathstroke movie. It was described as an action thriller influenced by South Korean noir films, to be directed by Gareth Evans on a $40 million budget. Boy, it's too bad we never got this. We're now in the silly stage. I've come to realize now that when it comes to Star Wars, when it comes to DC, when it comes to Marvel, the period of greatness has passed. It just has. These studios are run by absolute idiots, and they've missed the boat on greatness, and it's over. I don't think we're ever going to get any of this stuff back, to be honest with you. And we're still going to fight for this, but I've got some information today that makes it seem like, they're probably going to want to stick with Gunn when the sale goes through, and I certainly hope that is not the case. So a lot of people were talking about this Welcome to Derry over the weekend. And in this first episode of the show, they showed two different comic books. First was Detective Comics number 298, which was the first appearance of Clayface. James Gunn actually did a post about this before it was in the show. And so this was actually in there. And he also picked up a comic of The Flash as well. And so the guy who directed it, Welcome to Derry, is Andy Muschietti. And he is going to be doing the Batman and the Brave and the Bold. At least he's still tapped up for it. We don't know if he's actually going to do it or not. In fact, there's a lot of stuff up in the air with the Brave and the Bold. But I guarantee you, as we hear more information about the Batman 2, James Gunn is probably going to want to take the limelight and start talking about Batman the Brave and the Bold, even though he hasn't really been talking about it. Also, there was another photo released. I believe this happened on Friday, right after I did my video. It was early Saturday. Zack Snyder posted this, and I actually saw this shortly after it was posted, and look at how many likes it already has. 149,000 likes. This was the day it was posted, guys. How crazy is that? There's actually articles out there talking about how these photos from Zack Snyder are getting a lot more praise and a lot more just coverage than what James Gunn is doing with the DCU. It shows you where the real interest actually is. Also, it was reported that Supergirl is going into 2 weeks of reshoots and is likely adding scenes with Superman. And this comes from Daniel RPK. Now, this is to be expected. Most movies do go through reshoots. They did have a showing, and it supposedly didn't go well, and so they're probably going to do some reshoots in regards to how some of those notes went. And they are going to do more to try to tie this to Superman now that James Gunn has changed all the plans again and wants to do this Superman saga. He's going to want this to tie more directly into what he's doing than it was originally planned for. And so you can betcha that Superman will show up in that movie. I would be surprised if he didn't. Now, this comes from Chuck Dixon, which is a Batman legend. This is him talking about James Gunn's DCU. I think it's over for him. Superman failed no matter how you look at it. He will not be a part of the DCU, if there even is a DCU, after the upcoming sale of Warner's. Now, we can all hope that that's the case, but there are reports now that if Paramount buys them, that James Gunn and Peter Safran would probably stick around. And I'll talk more about that here at the end of the video. Now, when I saw this to me was disappointing. It says the Batman 2 takes place a few weeks after the ending of The Penguin. Now, originally the plan was to do the Batman go into The Penguin on HBO Max and then go right into the Batman 2, but man, it's going to be like a decade by the time the movie finally gets released. And I know I'm exaggerating there, but it would have been a good opportunity to do a time jump with this character for more growth. And I actually posted about this on Twitter, and it was funny to see all the people say, you don't understand how films work. You know, they're trying to say that I'm trying to battle for more character growth off screen than on screen, and how that's a cheap way of doing it. And that's not what I meant by this. What I meant by this is I want a different suit because I still think the suit is atrocious. I think it's the worst Batman suit we've seen on film, okay? And he's a skinny twig. He's an inexperienced Batman. Because the film has been delayed for so long, why not take the opportunity to move forward with him and actually have some growth and have him be in his prime and have him be that Batman? But they're taking a whole different approach with this, which I think is unfortunate. So if you're looking for a manly Batman, we're not going to be getting it in the Batman Part 2. Again, he's going to be a beat-down guy. The story supposedly is that he's going to find it hard to be Batman, and it's just going to go in a direction that I don't think anybody really wants to see. And I can tell you that because of how this movie played out the first time, I don't think the audience is going to be nearly as big for Part 2. The Penguin was great. The Penguin was better than the Batman. And, you know, it looks like they're going to go with that plan of making it all one big story and taking place one right after the other. And, I mean, this makes sense if you consider that Catwoman is scheduled not to be in it, and they talked about that a little bit. And that makes sense because she left at the end of the first one. If it's only a few weeks, she's not going to be coming back after a few weeks. So it actually makes sense story-wise. But we'll see when this movie gets released how this is received. Now, I have not seen anything to confirm this, so this is definitely a rumor. But this was reported by iHorror. Bill Skarsgård is in talks to play the Joker in The Brave and the Bold. I think people are just throwing some of this stuff out there because he is Pennywise in It, and he's going to be Pennywise in the Welcome to Derry show. And so I think they're just doing this as a shot in the dark, but I haven't seen anything that confirms this in any way, shape, or form because they're not even casting for The Brave and the Bold. So Entertainment Biz posted, they may have the new DCU, but it's Zack Snyder's DCU that's stealing the spotlight and making headlines. Again, everybody's picking up that Zack Snyder's Batman post and all his other posts in regards to DC are having more buzz than anything that James Gunn is doing. Now, this is pretty cool. Again, if you guys are not reading the Absolute Batman story, you've got to be checking it out. It is freaking awesome. And here are some Joker designs by Nick Dragotta. Now, this is a whole separate universe, and I'm going to be doing a review on KO issue number 1 pretty soon. I just read it the other day, and I'm going to be doing a review on that as well as going back and reviewing Absolute Batman from the beginning for you guys. And yeah, this design is pretty freaking awesome. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in this universe. I'm absolutely loving what they've done with Killer Croc and Bane, and it's some pretty awesome stuff that they've introduced in this universe. And if you aren't checking it out, you are definitely missing out. So here are both of the shots, I guess, from Welcome to Derry. You can see the Flash there as well as Detective Comics. And everything DCU posted, yeah, looks like Andy Muschietti would remain as the director of Batman the Brave and Bold for sure. I don't think that's an indication of anything. It's all under Warner Brothers. The show is under Warner Brothers, so it would make sense for them to help promote cross brands like that. But it's no indication that he is coming back. And we won't know until we get confirmation that that movie has even been greenlit. Now, this is also disappointing, and this is in regards to Lanterns. And this has a lot of people upset because you can have Jon Stewart and you can have Hal Jordan together. But Chris Mundy, the showrunner of Lanterns, on Aaron Pierre's Jon Stewart. Our show is in a lot of ways about replacement. When should someone step aside, and when is it time for the next person to take the reins? That push and pull between those two characters is really important. So much of the power that Jon has is not by taking the bait. Understanding that you lose your power if you're yelling and screaming. That's what we're trying to convey. He knows he belongs, so he doesn't have to overcompensate. There's a real balance between that's just innately inside of Aaron. He's big. He's an intimidating presence just physically. But there's also a softness to him. There's a thoughtfulness. You can teach that. And they've gone on to confirm that this is going to be, basically, he is going to be taking over for Hal Jordan. Whether Hal dies or not remains to be seen. But it's so sad that we're finally getting Lanterns, and they're pushing Hal Jordan aside. There's no reason why they couldn't have them truly together in the DC universe. It's just another thing to be upset about, and it just doesn't make sense. Also, Tom Reese-Harries reveals that filming for Clayface has officially entered its final week. The DC body horror thriller is set to hit theaters on September 11th of 2026, so we're almost exactly a year away from this. So Screen Rant posted this and said, the fan campaign to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, where the director has released projects since leaving DC, has been going on for years. Now, the door might have been opened, as a recent report suggests Netflix is interested in buying Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, I used to think this was my least favorite choice, but after what I heard today, I think this may be the best route after the information that came out. So let's talk about this information. So John Campea has said he has talked to somebody that he knows over there at Paramount, and they've let him know that if the sale goes through with Paramount, that they're going to keep on Pam Abdy, Mike DeLuca, James Gunn, and Peter Safran as the head of the studio. Now let's talk about why this is a possibility and what they may be doing. They're so invested so far in the DCU going up to Man of Tomorrow. I mean, they really pushed to get that movie made quite quickly, and I think they knew it was because of the sale of Warner Brothers, and they wanted to get stuff out there and made so that when the switch happens, they've got no choice but to continue down the path up through that film.
They really think they've got something special. Now, what I laughed about while watching this video is they said that the DCU has been a wild success. It hasn't been a wild success in regards to the audience. It hasn't been a success in regards to the money. In fact, nobody watched Creature Commandos. Nobody watched Peacemaker Season 2. It had less viewership than Season 1 of Peacemaker. And Superman lost money in theaters. It lost a minimum of $42 million. It may have made that up with video-on-demand sales, but we don't know because they're not really talking about that. So we don't know where it's going to end up. Not a good way to start the DCU. Why they would even make Creature Commandos and Peacemaker when you know people aren't going to watch it to begin with, doesn't matter what the reviews are. It looks like it's like the only success measure are the reviews, and there just aren't enough people watching this stuff. And so I don't know what their measure of success is, but it's not like anything amazing. That is for sure. It's the most mediocre way to start a universe. Like I said, I do believe that greatness has come and gone, and I don't know if we're ever going to get it back again. Star Wars has really messed things up. Marvel has messed things up, and now we've got DC on this path of just goofy, disgusting stuff that it's not becoming of the DC brand. It's just not. And it's sad to see what we had versus what is going on now. It's crazy to think where we were and where we are. And so they may be following through with that up through Man of Tomorrow, but I could tell you that if Lanterns doesn't perform well, if Clayface doesn't perform well, and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow doesn't perform well, then it'll be over. Like it'll be finished at that point. I don't expect James Gunn to get this is just my own thoughts. I don't expect him to get a contract extension. I just don't. Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca have theirs. But James Gunn's is up in 2026. I'm not expecting him to get that renewed. At least not while he's it may happen if he's still with Warner Brothers and the sale hasn't gone through, but I think if they end up going through, I don't think whoever's going to pick it up is going to want to keep him. There's no reason why they can't go make Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3 and finish up that story, make everybody happy, release the cut of Ayer Suicide Squad, finish it off properly. That would be the smart thing to do to unite the fan base, but you can bet we will not stop asking for that story to be finished. That is for damn sure. So whoever gets it, they're still gonna have those calls for it to be finished. That is not going to stop. We can guarantee you that. We're gonna keep fighting for what's right, and it's just sad to see what we have now versus what we had and what the studio just walked away from. It's just mind-boggling. It defies comprehension. All right, guys, so there's the update for the day. I have a lot of things I'm going to be reviewing and things coming up. So if you aren't subscribed and you like today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up.